Thomas Jefferson once said, "The best government is that which governs least." The best government is that which governs least. Hi, my name is Robert C. Ayala, and I'm a real Democrat running for the Democratic nomination to stop the campaigns of Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or really any candidate telling us what to ingest, how to live, or how to look. A real Democrat is a Democrat who puts you and others first. That's right, a real Democrat is a person who puts you and others first. How's everybody doing? I got a couple things that I'd like to say tonight. Um, the first thing is I would like to congratulate former President Donald Trump for his outstanding victory in Iowa tonight. I think everybody called it. I have been saying for quite some time that, it's really disingenuous to say that everybody who's voting for Trump is some type of crazy person. On the other hand, before we get into this, it's about 22 minutes of Donald Trump's speech, and I've watched a little bit of it, and I'm already bored. I'm bored. I don't want to do another 4 years of it. I really don't. I like the Donald. I know all of you guys are going to get pissed off, but really, I'm the sane candidate. And I mean that. I'm the sane candidate. That's just crazy. I'm going to be 50 in 2024. My whole life is about putting other people first and freedom. And here, we've got one person who completely talks about himself in the third person, and we have another person who continuously just I don't know what Joe Biden's doing, but Joe Biden has to be the most selfish human being in the world. Literally, has to be the most selfish human being in the world. You have all these wars going on. You've got Ukraine still going on. The money's going out the door. We're paying for it. You've got the border in chaos. We're paying for it. We're paying for it here in New York. They're paying for it in Chicago. They're paying for it everywhere. You've got governors shipping migrants from one state to another. You've got one governor having a debate with a current presidential candidate, which means absolutely nothing. And it's almost like the political class has forgotten who they work for. I mean, Jesus, you guys are 1% of the human population. You go around with all your fancy high shit all the time, and you totally disregard everybody. And the reality is, and the truth is that, Trump's going to probably make your gas prices a little cheaper. Everything's going to be a little cheaper with Trump because everything's been more expensive with Biden. But we're just going to continue to hear about one person and his two sons and how many golf courses are they going to open this round. And if you go with the other guy, Joe Biden, again, you're just going to be like, okay, well, how many more people are going to die under genocidal Joe? I mean, how many brown people? He's always toting his shit about he's if you ain't voting for Joe Biden, you ain't black. But everywhere you look in this world right now, it's black and brown people dying. For a guy who says he likes brown people, and what was it? Corn Pop was a great dude, but he grabbed my legs at the pool. It just is insane. And this idea that you're gonna just sit there and you're gonna try to categorize Donald Trump as some threat to democracy. Nobody thinks he's a threat to democracy. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, we're going to go through his video, and I'm not keen on this video, and we're going to talk about why. But, when the next president gets elected after Donald Trump probably gets elected, he's going to leave. And this idea that Liz Cheney and Chris Christie and Hakeem Jeffries and all these people come out, but they just forget that Joe Biden's the president. He is the president, and this guy just walloped everybody. Donald Trump just walloped everybody in the Iowa caucus. He's probably going to wallop everybody in New Hampshire, and he's going to be the Republican nominer. He's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party, and Democrats are just going to lose. You're just going to lose because the whole idea and the whole framing of this is the other side is crazy, and I just don't get on board with that. I have a lot of friends who are on the other side of the table. I'm not calling one of them crazy. Some of them are a little bit more sane than my side. Okay, so it just this whole idea. This is a good thing. This is a good look for America that we should do this again. Another repeat is just utterly insane. And so I'm going to tell you why I'm already bored of Donald Trump tonight, but I'm going to continue one more time, is that Joe Biden, you're selfish. Gavin Newsom, you're selfish. All you people in the Democratic Party, Joy Bear, I don't even know what you represent anymore. I don't know if you've actually talked to like a real person in the minority community struggling today, because man, what you spew on MSNBC is just, I don't know where you're getting all your facts from, but they're clearly wrong. And so the whole Democratic establishment needs to step forward and put your pants back on and start working for the people that elected you. So let's listen to what the Republican nominee Donald Trump for 2024 has to say about his victory tonight.
I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all. What a turnout, what a crowd. And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative. It would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. That's practically never.
So I want to say that, when he says that he wants to call for unity, it's Donald Trump is the one that's calling everybody names. You're a dirty Mexican, they're rapists. He calls members of Congress, they're just evil and dirty. So, this whole idea that there's going to be some type of unity, is the fact that during the Trump administration, all he did was go around and belittle people. When it was the Black Lives Matters protesters in Washington, D.C., he walked out there with the general and he held the Bible upside down. Some of us don't forget these things. I don't know who gave him that information. I don't know who told him that was a good look, but that certainly wasn't unifying. Could have just stayed in the White House, let people say what they're going to say in their time of speaking out against what they perceive are injustices in America. That's part of the American way.
Been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon. I want to thank some of the great people. We have so many senators. If I go through every name, we'll be here all night, and everybody's going to get angry at me. But the senators, the congressmen from Washington, they came down from all different states. I want to thank you very much. I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together.
I mean, I just, it's just, I think it's time for loser DeSantis and Nikki Haley to just call it up and be done with it. First of all, Nikki Haley has just got all Democrat support anyways, so she's not really getting any support from the Republican Party. And Ron DeSantis, everywhere he goes, people like him less. And just wearing the high heels and the boots, it's just one of those things. You wouldn't. It's not right to make fun of anybody. If you want to wear high heel boots, go wear high heel boots. I don't really give a shit, right? But when you go out in the state of Florida and you ban how people feel about themselves and what their sexuality may or may not be, you come out with this big whole war with Disney and it's all the woke policies, and then you're trotting around with high heels in your boots. I'm just saying, it's a little hypocritical, Ron. So, it just, two people, in a race vying to be the first place loser. That's what they're doing. They're running to be the first place loser. It's like, holy shit, who does that? I mean, like, we're watching the NFL and all the playoffs, and nobody's actually playing to lose, right? But Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, they're definitely lost. They both got their butts kicked tonight. They got shellacked, and they're happy because they came in second, so they're happy that they're the first place loser. Look, if you're happy that you're a loser, you're just not good enough to represent the American people. So I just think it's time, for Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley to just, go ahead and fold it up. If I'm going to suspend my campaign because, Angry Joe doesn't want to have a primary and hates everybody in his party, then I think Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley should go home as well.
Together. And I think they both actually did very well. I really do. I think they both did very well. We don't even know what the outcome of second place is. And I see Kari Lake. Congratulations, Kari. Very good. I spotted her, I have to announce, because she's terrific. She's going to be a senator.
All right, so are we going to talk about Kari Lake? She's the other first place loser in Arizona. She lost the governor's race. She took it to court. She lost court. She took it to the Arizona Supreme Court. She lost again. She went on every TV show and she cried about it. And I just hope that, former President Trump wouldn't think that, she would be worse than Sarah Palin. At the end of the day, Kari Lake is not a lady at all. I don't know what she is, but she should have some dignity. I have 3 sisters, okay? And I'm just going to say, they're not on their knees for any man, okay? They're not on their knees for any man. Marjorie Taylor, Kari Lake, I mean, you're clearly on your knees for Trump. And it just, like Kamala Harris, it's just disgusting. And it's unnecessary. It doesn't, it just makes everybody else out there who's trying to get ahead with their mind and a set of principles, just feel so low when people like Kari Lake and Marjorie Taylor just drop on their knees and go the sexuality route. It's just unbecoming a politician. And I'm glad they're not in my district, and I'm glad I don't live in Arizona, because I would never, ever, 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 ever vote for Kari Lake. No, she's the type of person, she gets up in the morning and she looks in the mirror and she still finds something wrong, and probably doesn't come out of that bathroom for a couple hours. But nobody can be so self-centered. And if you are that self-centered, then the last thing you should be is anywhere near the power or near any seat of power in our government. So that's a no to Kari Lake as VP, okay? No to Kari Lake as VP.
Great senator, I predict, right? You're going to be a great senator. And I also want to congratulate Vivek because he did a hell of a job. He came from zero, and he's got a big percent, probably 8%, almost 8%, and that's an amazing job. They all did. They're
That's
all
what
very
15
smart,
million of your
very
own
smart
money
people,
will do.
very
You
capable
throw $15
people.
million
I think
at
most
anyone,
importantly,
you're
I
gonna buy
want to
some
thank
polls.
my incredible wife, the First Lady, I'll say former and maybe future. But more important than Melania, I want to thank her incredible, beautiful mother who passed away a few days ago. And she's up there, way up there. She's looking down and she's so proud of us. And I just want to say to Amalia, you are special, one of the most special people I've ever known. And that was a tough period of time for the family, but she's amazing. She was amazing. So I just want to thank what she's done for our family and her husband, who's home right now and very lonely. He's a lonely man, but he's going to be okay. Victor, they're great people, great parents to all of us, really. Great parents, but also to Barron. Boy, did she take care of Barron. That's how he got so tall. He only ate her food. And I want to thank my family generally. They've worked so hard, and they've taken so much abuse for being good people. I mean, good people. But Eric and Don, they really did. These two have been working so hard, and they have another job also, so they have to do it all. But they've been working so hard, and I know that Ivanka is home and Tiffany's home. They're watching, and I know that Barron's watching. Good old Barron. I said, "You're going to be a basketball player." I said, "Well, I like soccer, Dad. Actually," I said, "At your height, I like basketball better, but sometimes you can't talk them into everything." But he's a special boy. But the whole family is just incredible. And my sister, Elizabeth, who's just the biggest fan. She's just an incredible person and always supportive. We love Elizabeth so much. Also, we have a woman who took a big chance. You know, in most states, we have support of everybody, the Congress, the senators. We had Marco Rubio. We had Rick Scott the other day. We have, probably 55% of the senators. And now they're all calling and saying, "We want to endorse you, sir." I said, "Oh, great." And same thing with the Congress, men and women. We have tremendous.
See it? There it is. It's just going to always be there, people. It's always about who's loving Trump, who's at his feet. Well, why? What do we get out of this? What do we get when we give one person keys to the most powerful, most free country in the world, and they just seek to monetize it? You know, he doesn't seek to make peace in South America. We still have an embargo on Cuba, even though the Russians and the Chinese have a base there that started under Trump. Puerto Rico still has no status, where the residents of that state of possession of the United States of America has been hit with not one but two hurricanes, and Trump completely left them hanging on the first hurricane, and Biden's done absolutely nothing to resolve the issue. And the truth of the matter in Puerto Rico is that you have one set of rights if you're on the island, and if you immigrate all the way over here to the 50 states, you have a different set of rights. And if you don't return in a timely fashion, your property can be jacked. So these things are like things we can fix, right? Like if we had a good economic outlook with South America, we could push those people. I don't mean it in that sense, but we could push the people there, because if what brings about freedom in America, freedom everywhere, is prosperity. So if we spent a little bit of time in South America trying to alleviate some of the economic poverty and distress, and maybe if we put some of our AWACS planes in the air, we could help the governments in these more smaller countries, but with bustling populations, create just basic law and order that we could have a trading partner with. I don't understand why we spend so much money with Europe. The G8, the other G7, they're economic powerhouses. They got manufacturing, and it's like every time the United States goes, and we have to send our Navy and our ships all the way over to the ocean, and that food and troops, right? What about the 1.5 billion people to the south of our border? Well, why is it because they're all Spanish people? Like we don't want to talk to them. We have 1.5 billion people south of our border, and we do nothing. Brazil, Peru, Mexico, everything is hostile. So when I look at Trump, and you're happy because we're probably all going to vote for him, because at the end of the day, Joe Biden can't make decisions for himself, and Kamala Harris she's just got no brain. So whatever, she's absolutely got no brain. So until the dynamics of these two change, this is what we've got. But maybe if we take a little bit of time to call out these things, maybe just for a moment, we can get Mr. Trump to start to see some of the benefits. Like Venezuela, it just went direct. Well, we don't like Maduro, so we're gonna embargo the whole country. So you instantly, as the United States of America, you put an embargo on the whole country, and that instantly, 100%, all the time, only affects the citizens of that country. It never, ever, sanctions, embargoes, look at Putin. It never affects the elite of the countries that we're targeting. It only hurts the citizens, and then the citizens turn more to the dictatorial regimes. And here we are now with Joe Biden. Venezuela is no better, but we got to show Putin. So we now have to make a deal with Maduro, who Donald Trump actually didn't like, was trying to get rid of him. But now Biden's on his knees for him because he's got oil. And again, when you keep looking at these things, all you keep seeing is we just keep getting in bed with the devil, and nobody's paying attention to the American people. Tired of it. And I know you guys are too. And Trump's your false god. He's not going to make it any better for anybody.
Much more than anybody probably has ever had in this position. And we love them all. They're great. They're really trying to do a good job for our country. But one woman in Iowa who really stepped up was your Attorney General, Brenna Bird. She really, really stepped up. Where is Brenna? Come in.
Thank you. Glad to do it. We need you.
She stepped up. She's going to be your governor someday, I predict. So we'll see. We'll be watching, but she really did. She broke away from the pack. And she had tremendous courage, and wasn't easy. In some states it's easy, in other states it's a little bit more difficult. But we have really the support of the people of Iowa, which has been just incredible. Another man who was actually the first person to endorse me in the entire country. He's a state senator. His name is Brad Zahn. He looks like he's the most handsome guy, I think. Oh, you made it. He had to drive from his caucus location. You made it. I call him the Marlboro Man. Hey, Brad. You want to say something? Come on, go up. Say something.
Well, I'll tell you, I had to actually do a TV interview bragging about you. The reason why I was late is because of that, but is he awesome or what? I am honored to be the first person in the United States to endorse this guy. The next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
And when he says endorsed, we're really talking about 2015. He endorsed me before, actually, long before I knew I was going to run. I said, who's this man in Iowa? He's a senator, a state senator.
You see why I'm bored? I'm so bored already. He hasn't even made it back into the White House. And the whole thing we've been watching is he loves me, he endorsed me, she loves me, she loves me not, she loves me some more. Joe Biden's gonna debate this guy? Really? What's he gonna do? Get angry? Poop his diaper? Oh, Lord help us all.
Senator is a good-looking guy, too. Doesn't he look? You could pay him and give him a lot of money. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for being here. You are so great. Comes all the way from Missouri, which isn't that far. You can't drive an electric car that far, though. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. The group of people that we have on the stage is just emblematic of the tremendous group that we've had. We've had such a great team. We did well. We were looking really good in 2016. And just to go back to the senator, he was saying, I said, who is that guy, Brad, his name? Who is he? He keeps endorsing me. He keeps saying Trump, and I didn't even know I was running. He endorsed me 4 months before I knew I was running, about 4 months before the Escalade ride down with our great First Lady. And that was Brad. I said, who is he? So he was the first one. But we have people that are so incredible. Your Republican Party Chairman, Bobby Kaufman, and his son, who is a brilliant guy, and he worked with us. And I will tell you, that is a family of real professionals. Matt Whitaker, who is the very talented and very good Attorney General. Where is Matt? He's around here someplace.
Okay, Matt Whitaker, I believe he was never confirmed by the Senate for Attorney General. Trump did a recess appointment on him, I believe, the third or fourth after Will Barr resigned or stepped down, whatever he did. Matt Whitaker came in and then offered all these crazy DOJ opinions that were just beyond the scope of the law. I think most of them were overruled. But again, he was never appointed via the Senate. It was just a recess appointment. I don't know what the rumors were then. I don't know if he would have made it through Senate confirmation, but he just, these are the things where want the President of the United States to put people who are going to advocate for the interest of the American people. And if your whole shtick is, how fast I can get on the knees for my boss, then you're really not out there working for the American people at all. So we're just going to have, 4 more years of a different administration that isn't working for the American people, because Joe Biden's not working for the American people. Last month alone, over 325,000 people entered this country. You can just do the math. Joe Biden's diluting us from within. And it's not a slight on anybody, but no other country has their borders open. In fact, we're helping Israel bomb Gaza. They have no air defenses. We're helping Ukraine poke their finger in Russia's eyes to get their border back. We just allowed Sweden to join NATO and more military hardware. And I'm all for defensive state. It's okay. But maybe if you threw a few more doves in the air, you wouldn't need so much. You wouldn't have to worry so much. And the only reason we worry so much is because everyone's poking each other in the eye. And maybe if we just took a moment to just say, hey, we should have appointments to the cabinet positions, like the current defense secretary. He's he did his time. You know, I think Trump's defense secretary general, I forget his name, Miley. Was it Miley? I don't know who it was. The Mad Dog general, initial guy. You know, he had put his time in there, right? So, but the rest, you know, the Secretary of State, was the CEO of ExxonMobil. I mean, there has to be some balance on what we want. And what I do respect about Donald Trump is he seems to be more of a non-globalist, but just America. But you know, it's weird that he says that, because everywhere he pursues a new golf course is in foreign countries. So I little disturbed on that. I don't think we need to be isolationists, but somewhere along the line, our politicians, you know, like again, Gavin Newsom, he kicks out all the homeless people. Can't help them any other time period, nothing. But they round them all up and they kick them out when the dictator of China comes here. And Biden supports it fully. You know, they all run to California and they're so proud of themselves. And what you're just showing when you do that is you're showing dictator Xi the same thing he does in his country. He rounds up the Uyghur, right? And he throws them in concentration camps and moves them over there, right? You know, in Tiananmen Square, they just mow down students with tanks, right? And, you know, they sell mortgages that have homes that haven't been built. When they have rain that comes, they just divert it into all the poor people, right? And so then when he flies all the way over here to America, and you have the governor of California, Governor Newsom, and you have the president of the United States, Joe Biden, sanctioning I don't want to call it brutal, but just moving. They moved all the homeless people. They moved them all out. And the governor admitted, yep, we did it for them. So, you know, there's a middle ground, but neither of these guys are going to do it. So, you know, everybody should just tighten their wallets up and plan for the future where you just can get out of this rat race, because it's not going to end if we just keep sending people to Washington who seem to care more about how many people are on their knees in front of them than actually working and serving you. So this is why I'm bored again. I'm bored because it's just a door, and it just seems hella sexual to me if you're asking me, but that's a whole different point.
And he's been with us all the way. You know, we have a man that was very impressive. And I say, there's nothing wrong with it. He's so solid and so good that he didn't catch on. Sometimes being a little controversial is good. He's so perfect. Although he did break his leg during the campaign, that wasn't so good. But it sort of stood out a little bit, Doug. But Doug Burgum from North Dakota, the governor, and his beautiful wife, Catherine, and he got out of the race. What people don't know is that he actually supported me on the other side twice already.
No, I like Doug Bergman. I know this might be controversial, but you know, I always thought that if I somehow got the nomination, I like Doug. He'd be a good VP. And the reason I like Doug, because he's the governor of North Dakota, I believe, but he carries a constitution in his pocket right here. Not a lot of people do that, but he also has the brain and the intellect to go along with it. And when you heard him in the debates, the reason why he never rose in the Republican Party is because he sounds too normal. He sounds like the old Republican Party, where we wake up every day, or where they wake up every day and say, hey, let's not stomp on individual rights. And I know that Doug, you know, when these things come down, it's all about the endorsement game. And you know, Doug was dropped out. He's a governor. You know, I think North Dakota is probably going to go Republican anyways, but wouldn't be surprised if Doug was somehow in the administration of Donald Trump.
Right? Then he decided to do it, and he was outstanding. But the traction is never easy, right? You need controversy for traction sometimes, and this guy is the most solid guy. There's no controversy whatsoever, and he's one of the best governors in our country, and I hope that I'm going to be able to call on him to be a piece of the administration, a very important piece of the administration. And also, just to conclude with this, the entire Trump team, and that includes my two boys who are really here all the time, whenever we needed them. Whenever we needed them. They are great, Eric and Don. And look at all these people. Oh, Susie, I have to say. And Chris. And they want no accolades. They just want a victory, and they want to make America great again. That's all they want, actually. They don't want to be speaking. They don't want to have pictures. They just want to do their job, right? I want to thank you very much, Jason, everybody. You're really fantastic. What a job you've done. Thank you. So we're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. Yeah. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to seal up the border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing. It's a very bad thing. I think it's a group of people that are probably larger in number than New York State. And we can't have that. We can't have that. It's not sustainable as a country. It's horrible. And you know, they're coming from prisons and jails. They're coming from all over. They're coming from countries.
See, I told you. We're right back to it again. They're all rapists. They're all criminals. They're all nuts. They're all coming for you. They're going to take your homes. They're going to take your money. You know, I'm not really on that whole thing. I just think that we have a lot of people all over the world trying to get in the country legally. And there's a process, and there's a lot of people who, the legal crowd, waits a long time. And the term refugee or seeking asylum, it can't be from every single country, right? Like, there's got to be, normally these are like people who are political prisoners. Like, I understand that, like from Haiti, you might want to get here because there's more jobs here in America than Haiti, but these aren't conditions that allow for that. Asylum is for people who are being persecuted and have a real threat of being killed or abused by the administrative state or their government. And when you see these migrant caravans, walking, 500-600 miles, they're walking through government provinces and whatever these states are or whatever they are, in Mexico and Colombia. You're just, there's not, if you're walking in broad daylight to get somewhere, you're not really being politically persecuted, right? Because if there was political persecution, none of these folks would be walking in the open so you could just see them. It's just a contradictory position. So, but again, I grow bored, because probably 5% of them are disreputable, or maybe have some ill intent. I don't even know if you can say that. Maybe they just want to feed their family. But here we go again, part 2. It rivals up the base, and really, Joe Biden does the same thing. He just does it in a different way. That's why the primaries in South Carolina, because Joe wants the black vote, but South Carolina didn't even vote for Obama, and it's a Republican state that hasn't voted for a Democrat in 70 years. So the only reason he did it is so he could one up the game, so he could manipulate it. He's no different than Donald Trump. He's no different than President Putin. He's no different than Xi. He's rolling the dice in his favor. He's bending the rules, and using them to cheat. And that's the way it is. And you can call it whatever it is, but there's a caucuses tonight in Iowa. The state of Iowa chose Donald Trump at 52%, and there was not a Democratic caucus in the state. There will be, I believe, in 3 weeks, and that they're gonna hold something because they have to, because their state law requires it. But Joe Biden's gonna not seat their delegates, just like New Hampshire. He's not going to seat their delegates. He's going to just wait to South Carolina. And you know what? I'm going to actually say this. I hope he loses in South Carolina. Because if he loses in South Carolina, just like Pete Buttigieg lost in South Carolina, then it's going to open the door for us to get the next younger generation of Democratic leaders, because it's just not going to be, it's not going to be fun. Like, it just every day. So we're going to have everybody, and everybody wants to go through this. I mean, it's fun for a little bit, but then it gets so tiring, people. You just get tired of people always calling each other names, right? You wouldn't tolerate it for your family. You don't go out every day to your job and wake up and say, hey, F you, boss. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing today, you piece of... we don't do this. It's not the way we operate. And I just don't think being mean is the way forward. That's just my view. Other people could have a different view on it.
That most people have never heard of, and they're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're being emptied out into our country, and they're terrorists. Many terrorists are coming in. In 2019, I saw just recently on a poll, they had none in 2019, no terrorists. Now, I even say there's got to be some, but they have none. And then as soon as this group took over, they have hundreds and hundreds of terrorists coming in, known terrorists, some of them really bad. And many of them are in, and they came in, and nobody knows where they are. This is not a good thing. And we're going to have to deport. We're going to have a deportation level that we haven't seen in this country for a long time, since Dwight Eisenhower, actually. So I don't want to be overly rough on the president, but I have to say that he is the worst president that we've had in the history of our country. He's destroying our country. And, my wife attended the funeral 2 months ago of Rosalind Carter, and it was beautiful. And Jimmy Carter was there, and I thought to myself, Jimmy Carter is happy now, because he will go down as being a brilliant president by comparison to Joe Biden. He'll be a brilliant president. We have to say, I say all the time, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation anywhere in the world. And we have to stop the crime, and we have to help rebuild our cities, and we have to rebuild the Capitol, Washington, D.C. I was there on one of the Biden indictment trials. This is the only person this never happened before, but I go to a lot of courthouses because of Biden, because they're using that for election interference. And it's on things like election, and I don't know if you know, but they did polls tonight on the election of 2020. Do you believe it was honest or not? 82% said it was not. And we can't have that, Chairman. We can't have that. You can't have a situation like that. So we're going to straighten out our elections. We're going to do a lot of great things. We're going to try and go to paper ballots as soon as possible. Voter ID, one day elections. We have these elections that last for 62 days, and if you need some more time, take as much time as you want, and so many bad things happen. We have to get rid of mail-in ballots.
Okay, I don't have a problem with voter ID until you declare the voting for the President of the United States a national holiday. Then I don't see what the problem is with having 30-day voting or 60-day voting. If you have voter ID, people show up with their ID, then we should be making it more convenient for people to vote. People should be able to vote from their smartphones. I'm not really saying that because I think paper ballots are a good thing. but there has to be more accessibility where there's a more verifiable process for everybody. And I just don't think that taking people's ability to vote on their time and when they choose is the best path forward. So I disagree with former President Trump on this. I think he's right that it's time to finally, I mean, if you need an ID to get on an airplane, you need an ID. Well, there's some groups of people that get IDs without proving anything. So, but for the rest of us that live here, you need an ID for everything. You need an ID to open a bank account. You need an ID to get a prescription drug. You need ID for everything, to get a driver's license. So I don't think this idea that it's a racist trope to ask for ID, that's one more thing. Like the Democrats, they always make black people sound so stupid. Like, what are you talking about? Everybody's got ID. You got to get ID so you can get your liquor. What the heck? So, but it's just dumb to always say, oh, well, this group of people, they're inept of getting ID, so, we can't have them show up and request that. And it doesn't make sense because in nearly all the cities in America, most people have driver's license to drive. And I mean, if you want to take it a step farther, you have a lot of poverty in all the cities, so you have a lot of Medicaid and welfare. And in a lot of states, you have to have a fingerprint to get that. And, I know in New York that you have to put up a fingerprint. So, that seems pretty racist. I need some food. I gotta go into fingerprint ID. But, if I gotta vote, I don't need ID. So I think in this manner, there could be some bridging of the middle of the road that helps everybody achieve the results they want, that helps them feel that the voting is a little bit more secure without alienating the population as a whole who does nothing but just goes to work every day, and then when it's time to vote, they don't want 20 hassles of people sitting out there, guns pointed at them, making them feel all unsafe and accosted just because they're doing their civic duty in the United States of America.
Ballots, because once you have mail-in ballots, you have crooked elections. Actually, Jimmy Carter's commission said that a long time ago. We're going to rescue our economy. We're going to save our economy. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. There was never a greater economy, and now we don't. And when you look at what's happened with inflation, inflation is destroying, they call it a country killer. Going back hundreds of years, Germany, countries that had big inflation are dead. They become dead countries. We have to stop that immediately. And we want peace through strength. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine, would have never done it. Putin and I get along fine. We get along very well. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The fake news, if the fake news would become real and honest news, 90% of our problems in this country would be solved. They would be solved. So Russia would have never attacked. Israel would have never been attacked. The Ukraine situation is so horrible. The Israeli situation is so horrible, what's happened. And we're going to get them solved. We're going to get them solved very fast. I actually said Ukraine. I know President Putin very well. I know Zelensky very well. I'm going to get him in. We're going to get it solved very quickly. Should have never happened. Would have never happened. Now you have all that death, far greater than people understand.
Okay, so can't let former President Donald Trump forget that, if you recall, while Putin was generally making threats to Ukraine, and the United States the U.S. Congress was authorizing missiles and defensive means to protect themselves to Ukraine, it was Donald Trump who was pressuring President Zelensky to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. So for 18 months, the President of the United States defied Congress in shipping weapons that Ukraine needed simply because Donald Trump was looking for dirt on Joe Biden. So these are some of those things that, if you really want to think about, it didn't help contribute to the situation. I don't know if Putin wouldn't have eventually. He was looking for a very specific deal from us and NATO. Trump didn't seem like he was inclined to give him that either, but he was right there antagonizing the whole situation, letting Putin know that the United States of America was not going to be there, not going to be there as strong. And in terms of Israel, we need to really advocate for a two-state solution, or a port of entry, an airport. This inability to have, an apartheid regime that we support. Like, again, we got missiles flying over there. And again, it was Donald Trump that moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. And, I'm going to be funny here, and people are going to get mad at me, and I don't really care. But, if Jews and Muslims and Christians all come from the God of Abraham, and in some relative means we all believe that, and the whole world was flooded, my question is, out of all the places God is going to return, he chose the desert without any fresh water. And I just don't understand how we're justifying all this loss of life over there, all this apartheid, all this military control over people, all this checkpoint, all this Tale of Two Cities by Mark Twain is a perfect example. Although one is extremely poor and one is rich, it's in the same capacity. But we allow all this, and we don't even know if the land over there that everybody's fighting about is actually the right biblical land, right? Because Egypt built some pyramids and stuff, but the whole world was flooded, right? The whole world was flooded, and so you have to ask yourself one time, did they have GPS 1600 years ago? Because I thought that was a new invention. I'm just saying, it's like the more you think about all these ideas and beliefs and how we use these beliefs to repress people, it's not the American way. It's not the Statue of Liberty. And again, my solution is, if Bibi, because he doesn't ever want the war to stop, because he doesn't want to not be prime minister, I don't see any reason why the Americans couldn't secure Gaza. We could run a port for them. We could give them more than enough freedom where they don't have to wake up every day and see the people living on the other side of the wall in glory and glamour while they, have not even a pot to take a shit in. And then they wouldn't be so mad. And there's a lot of people that would trade with the Palestinian people so they could have a vibrant economy in the Gaza and West Bank, and they wouldn't actually need to be used as, indentured servants for the state of Israel. They wouldn't have to rely on having to go to Israel to make their money. They could build their own communities, and I don't see why the Americans couldn't do that. And it would be better, because then the Israeli settlers, they wouldn't be taking pop shots at American troops, right? So that would be the truth of it, is settler wouldn't just be able to go up and start shooting an American soldier, right? So maybe there'd be some balance there that would lend for peace, if you don't give a group of people the ability to ever have peace, then you're just always going to ask them to be savages. And if there's no hope, then all I have is despair. And if all I have is despair, then all I want to do is fight. So it seems pretty easy if you understand just a little bit about human nature. But it seems like the world in 2024 continues to move to an authoritarian state.
The numbers are far, far greater than anybody would even think possible. You're going to find that out in the years to come. When they knock down these massive buildings in Ukraine, and then you see they announced 2 people were slightly wounded. No, many people were killed. Many people were killed. We're going to get it stopped. But it's so sad because it should have never started. People killed and a culture destroyed. You can never replace 1,000-year-old buildings with the most beautiful golden domes and churches and everything, just all rubble now. And it's so sad. Would have never, ever happened. And likewise, Israel would have never been attacked. It all comes from Iran, and we would have had to deal with Iran very quickly had the election where we, by the way, got, and I say we because it's all we got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. But they say we lost by a whisker, okay? But regardless of that, we're going to do incredible things, and we're not going to let China do what they'd like to do. I get along great with him also. President Xi, he's a very strong leader. And we're going to get things solved. We're going to get the Ukraine war solved. We're going to get the...
You're only a strong leader because you have missiles, tanks, and guns to secure your position. A free leader and a leader that takes care of its people. I believe was it Denmark, I think the queen just abdicated the throne for her son. And when you think about your people and you put them first, I mean, even if you go to England, right? I mean, worst colonialist regime in the world, right? They conquered and dominated everybody, right? The bastion of evilness, okay? But the English love their king and queen. It's not hard to figure out, but if you're only strong because you have guns and missiles and tanks, then you're not a strong leader. And President Xi and President Putin are by far the weakest leaders in the world, because the only way that they can lead is through the force of guns and violence and death. And that's not a true leader at all.
Israeli situation solved. But if you think back to that, Iran was broke. I said to every country, anybody does business with Iran, buys oil from Iran, they were broke. We're not going to let you do business in the United States. And that's the way it is. They did very little business, almost sold no oil. Nobody wanted to do that. That's a big penalty. And what happened is they had no money to give to Hamas and to give to Hezbollah. And in fact, there were a lot of stories at the time. They had no money for terror. And for 4 years, we had no terror. We had the terror ban. They call it the Trump travel ban, but it was really the Trump terror ban. We don't want people in our country that are going to blow up our shopping centers. Thank you very much. And we want a country of law and order. So we're going to rebuild the capital of our country, Washington, D.C. We're going to scrub those beautiful marble columns and get the
The Capitol is the last thing that needs to be built, okay? Fuck that shit. We don't need no more pomp and flair for people in Washington, D.C. Maybe they could live down in some rundown buildings for a while. Maybe they could live in some buildings in the middle of the winter where there's no heat, okay? They don't need no new roads. They don't need no new buildings. And again, this is what I keep saying. You don't hear nothing from Joe Biden, and now you hear nothing from Donald Trump. All they're going to do is continue to enrich their lives at our expenses. That's what's going to happen. They're going to enrich their lives at our expenses, and we're the puny little indentured servants, and we're just going to keep working. And sooner or later, all the Republicans, they're going to take all of our Social Security. So all the money that you put out of your check for the last 40 years that you had no choice in putting outside your check, they're going to take it all and give none of it back to you. You know, this is the whole goal, because that's how the billionaire class stays the billionaire class, right? Because there's definitely an inequitable position, right? Because not one person needs $1 billion, let alone, what do we got? 40 billion. We got the Millionaires Club. And the only way that works is because they get more than everybody else. And so for that really to ever change is for them to have to give up a little bit of what they have for the good of everybody else. In the United States of America, where it's just me, 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 and even Elon Musk, I mean, Jesus, you're the damn near richest guy in the world. You own, what, Twitter or X or whatever, and you're still unhappy. The fuck is wrong with you? You got everything. Must show that money doesn't mean anything. I mean, if I had all that money, I would just be on a beach somewhere, just chilling, right? But no, he's poking his head here and troping here and forcing more electric cars here and telling the government they gotta tell us what to buy. But he's from South Africa, and all his Chinese Tesla factories are in China. There's more Tesla factories in China than there are in Texas in the United States, and nobody can afford one of those damn Teslas at $50,000. It's just the bougie people who want to pretend that they're better than everybody. Just because you drive an electric car doesn't mean you're better than anybody. Actually, in my brain, you're kind of like da-da-da, because why do you want to go somewhere and have to stop halfway through and wait for your car to charge? I mean, even the horses would go at least a whole 8 hours before they need to be refed. So this is what I'm talking about. It's just tiring. And we don't need to rebuild the Capitol. We don't need to rebuild the FBI building. We don't need to rebuild anything down there. We need to start taking care of the American people and rebuilding America.
Stickers off them, and we're going to scrub them and get the graffiti off them, and we're going to clean the streets, and we're going to rebuild the streets, and we're not going to have rusted medians through the middle that are falling down into the roads where foreign dignitaries from all over the world come and they look. And we're not going to be riding on top of garbage like I did just a month ago, riding on top of garbage. We're going to rebuild our beautiful Washington, D.C., and we're going to take control of it.
Now, I understand that you have a campaign to run, but, and this guy sees America in some terrible light. I don't know. I just watched a whole bunch of people go to Buffalo and help the Bills clean out a stadium for a game. I don't know where all this plight is or blight that Donald Trump is seeing, because every day of the week Donald Trump's on a golf course. So I don't know where he's going to see all this blight or who's giving him all this information. And sure, there's some places that definitely could be better, but America's not bad. It's never been bad, and it's not awful. We got good wages. I mean, inflation's a piece of shit, but we got good wages for a lot of people. People are eating. Things are a little bit expensive, but man, this guy's got, like, the whole world is crumbling, and he's our savior. You're not our savior.
And we're going to make unbelievably harsh penalties for people that go around shooting. Last week they shot 3 people, and every night something happens. It's so sad. And likewise, we're going to rebuild our cities, and we'll work with the Democrats to do it. I'd be glad to work with the people in New York. We're going to work with the people in Chicago and LA. We're going to rebuild our cities, and we're going to make them safe. And we're going to give our police officers immunity. So every time they do something, they don't get sued and stopped. We're going to end crime in our cities. In Iowa, you don't know what that means, but I'll tell you, this is a different place. You don't know about crime. You don't know about getting mugged and getting whacked and getting thrown into subways, and we're going to stop it. And we're going to come down very hard on criminals, and we're going to stop crime in America. So I want to just finish by saying that this has been an incredible experience. The people have been, this is the 3rd time we've won, but this is the biggest one. This is They said, well, if you win by 12%, that's a big win. That's going to be very hard to do. Well, I think we more than doubled that, I guess, tripled it maybe. They said, you'll never get over 50, and I just left and we were at 54. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with it, but they said, you can't do that, sir. I said, what's about the highest? Well, you could get into the 40s, maybe 40, 41. And then I look up, and, it was very interesting. I didn't know they called it early. I thought that they called it at about 10 o'clock. My impression, see this gentleman? He's dressed like a wall. I love this guy. He's been at 150 rallies probably, right? He has the most beautiful outfit I've ever seen. It's all beautiful brick. Will you come up here? Just come up here. Come on. It's so nice to see. Right? Come on up here. He's emblematic of what we did. We built over 500 miles of wall. We were going to add another 200 miles. It's much more than we promised. And we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Look at this, man. Congratulations.
Incredible to see you again, President.
Really nice. Nice to see you, man. You take care of yourself, okay?
Absolutely will.
Thank you.
Take care.
I love that outfit. I love him. That's great. We love it. That's a hot-selling jacket, by the way. So. But that represents what we did. No, we built a tremendous, that's the reason. And we got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free. And we had Remain in Mexico, and we had Catch and Release in Mexico. And we did a job. We had the safest border in our history. We had the greatest economy in our history. We were a great nation 3 years ago, and now we're a nation in decline. We are going to turn it around so fast. It's going to happen so fast. We're going to drill. We're going to we have great wealth. We're going to drill. We're going to use that money to lower your taxes even further. We gave you the biggest tax cut in history. And we're going to lower them further, and we're also going to pay off national debt. It's about time. It's about time. So it's now off to New Hampshire, a great place. We won it last time, and we won it both times. And we love it. The people are great. But the truth is the people in our country are great. They're all great. We love Iowa, but they're all great. They only want to see one thing. They want our country to come back. They're embarrassed by what's going on. Our country is laughed at. All over the world, they're laughing at us. And they want our country to come back. They want America, they want us to be great again. It's a very simple. MAGA, make America great again. And America first. America first is a very important part of MAGA. So we're going to put America first. We're going to make America great again. Again, Iowa, we love you. You are going to, you just go out and buy larger tractors and more land. Don't worry about it. And to all of the people standing behind me and all of the people in this room and so many great politicians and great dignitaries and friends, I just want to thank you all. This is a very special night. And this is the first, because the big night is going to be in November when we take back our country, and truly, we do make our country great again. Thank you very much, everybody. Great honor. Thank you.
My name is Robert C. Ayala, and I think it's time for Joe Biden to step aside. As we just watched, former President Donald Trump just did a press conference that we haven't seen our current president do. He hasn't been out there in front of the podium. He sends his wife to the news channel. He hasn't stood up there for 22 minutes, showed his vigor, his strength. He's done none of that. He continues to hide, and he thinks he's going to win by doing nothing. I don't know what more you need, but the polls are at 33% on your side, and I'm not saying I'm the best candidate, But I do believe in what Thomas Jefferson said. The best government is that which governs least. The best government is that which governs least. I don't think we need all these people telling us what to do. I don't think we need all these people taking more money out of our pocket to do whatever they feel they want to do. I think it's time for us to start electing leaders who actually put you and others first and return America back to the people. America has always been great. Always been great. There's been people throughout periods of time in America who haven't always been treated great, but America has always been great. Yeah, that sounds weird. It sounds awful, but it was great for the people who are on top. It just wasn't great for the people who were underrepresented. And the best thing about the United States of America is that people can always make it better. We can change it for the best. But if we insist on putting two 80-year-old demented men at the helm of our country, then all we're going to continue to see is more people dying, more people calling each other names, more people with gotcha politics, one side who wants everybody on their knees for him, the other side who hasn't a clue what's going on, so everybody around him is doing whatever the hell they want. It's time for the American people to put a new set of candidates forward. Donald Trump is not in the best interest of the United States of America. Joe Biden is not in the best interest of America. And you guys have clearly not told me I'm in the best interest of America. But I know where my heart is, and I know what I believe. And it's just hard for me to wake up every day and be a jerk to anybody. In fact, I'd like to help as much people as I want to be able to help. And if you go talk to some of these people, you see that I just try to help them win. That's what we should all be doing, is helping each other win. I never understood this idea that one group of people with the most amount of money would be compelled to help the rest of the people have good lives. It doesn't work that way. It works when everybody has a piece and everyone has the ability to figure out what way they want to direct their life. And it's getting kind of hard directing your life in the United States of America. But we got all these politicians, from the president to our senators, to our House members, our House representatives, to our state governors, to our state elected senators, to our supervisors, to our mayors, to our councils at large. We have to stop this madness, because there is this little scripture in the Bible, and it says there should be no man before you, ever. The only person that should be before you is whoever you believe your Lord and Savior is, or your God is. So no man should be before you. And if we all get up every day and we go out and we try to just help our fellow brothers and sisters have a better life, I think at the end of the day, it'll be better for all of us. Thank you. I'll be back in a couple days. Hope you enjoyed Trump's speech. And again, I would like to congratulate the former president on his ass kicking in Iowa tonight. And I want to say to you, Joe Biden, it's time for you to stop being selfish. Hope everybody has a good night.